You're listening to the Raw Reaction on the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
Raw Reaction. And I'm here with Big Dick. Big Dick, how you doing tonight? Axe Cop.
I'm doing well, my brother. I was contemplating it. I was thinking about it, and after a lot of deep consideration, I decided not to take a knee on the program tonight.
What about Axe Cop?
Dude, Axe Cop is legend.
You want to know what? I watched Raw tonight. I wasn't in love with the show tonight, let me tell you right now. I liked last night's pay-per-view, which we'll talk about as well, but I wasn't in love with tonight's show. But can I tell you something? I absolutely, insanely loved the last segment of the show. I thought that was awesome. It was different. It was wild.
Yeah, I mean, it was almost like I think we said the last couple weeks in the show with a lot of especially his TV segments with Jason Jordan and Enzo Amore, that they've sort of touched on stuff that's backstage or kayfabe and sort of on the edge. But this is pretty impressive. And basically, I will give Enzo a lot of credit, whether somebody wrote the promos for him or he wrote his own. But he sort of touched on what everybody's been thinking. He sort of led a revival for the cruiserweight division, and guess what? He sells shit. He puts asses in seats. He entertains. So therefore, yes, he is probably more valuable than anybody else in the cruiserweight division.
Yeah,
excluding Jack Gallagher or Brian. Is it Jack? Is it Jack or Brian? It's Jack Gallagher.
Yeah. Enzo won the title last night, obviously by a low blow, and he had his celebration for himself. But I mean, it was almost 90s Jericho-esque how he went down the roster one by one. All the cruiserweights came on stage, and he was bigger than everybody, and that's kind of what we've heard backstage is kind of the rub on why no one likes Enzo. So they kind of danced around that whole truth, but I gotta tell you something. When Neville finally came out separate and confronted Enzo, bro, Neville's deserved to be in the main spot for quite some time. The dude has dominated over the last year. I thought that was a big spot for him too. I thought he looked awesome, just destroying Enzo.
Oh yeah, and I mean it's almost, you know what? I mean, the low blow, be damned, Enzo's still a fan favorite. But, this almost had the feelings of a double turn as far as Enzo just running down the entire roster, shitting on everybody at 205, and then Neville coming out and beating the piss out of him to sort of save the day for the Cruiserweight division.
You know what's funny? You look at Finn Balor and the Demon and how everybody loves Finn Balor, but in reality, shouldn't Neville be the spot Finn Balor's in? Neville's a better version of Finn Balor.
Yeah, but you know what? The problem is they've done, and I hate this because they do such a good job of building up these wrestlers on NXT, and then they bring them into they bring them to the main roster, and sort of let them do their thing, and they switch up stuff with them. They don't give them the same rub, the same build, the same chatter as they're used to having, and they fall off the map. I remember we loved him, Man at Gravity. Forgot Neville was freaking awesome when he first came out, but guess what? They lost interest in him, and they said, "Hey, you know what? You're gonna lead the cruiserweight division." I have nothing wrong with that, but I don't think he would necessarily elevated the cruiserweight division. He added a good face to it to bring eyeballs to it, brought an established star to it, and I think Enzo's doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Out of all of those wrestlers on the stage outside of Neville, I had heard of zero of them outside of the cruiserweight division. So having Neville and Enzo as the two big stars, I think it does that a lot. It makes it must-see television for stuff.
Well, do you think it's possible Neville purposely threw away his rematch so that he can move out of the cruiserweight division? I'm not saying that that's what his character's thinking, but do you think that that's how the writers might be positioning this?
No, I think it's actually to build up the cruiserweight division more because, I mean, now Enzo, unintentionally or intentionally, has more or less started a feud with everybody in the cruiserweight division. So now it's going to be interesting when he fights everybody there.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
And I think, sadly, I think next stop for Finn Balor is going to be cruiserweight division because he's like $180.
I mean, they let him go over big on Bray Wyatt last night, but it looks like he's still feuding with Bray Wyatt. And then he won again tonight. He beat Goldust in that kind of hot-shotted feud where Goldust had a problem with him and Neville then beat him. But Neville looks like a jobber in his new outfit and that gray thing he was wearing. I don't understand.
Neville, are you talking about Finn or Neville?
Finn, sorry. I had Neville in the mind. Neville does not look like a jobber. Neville looks like a superstar.
I missed the cool spin match, but he didn't have his cool leather jacket with the collar popped.
No, I don't think he did. I think he just came right out in the he had like the armband on and just came out with the gray thing on.
Okay, yeah. I unfortunately I didn't see it, so I cannot comment on that. However, I don't know. I mean, I think that's the problem with NXT going to Raw. Is that they let NXT, they give you 5 minutes to do a awesome intro, awesome coming down the ring, do your posing, do your music, do your paint, and they built Finn up to a point where you take that away from him, nobody gives a shit about him.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, shit, especially where you have 3 hours on Raw. Do a 5-minute introduction with the guy to build him up as a star against Bray Wyatt. Let Bray do his introduction too. If you killed 7 or 8 minutes on a 3-hour pay-per-view, have a 10, 15-minute match, shit, it's like, that's what you need to do.
They don't get anyone over, bro. They really don't. I mean, I'll give you another example. Remember last week we were talking about the world title, or the Universal title? We said, here is a great opportunity for Braun Strowman to be the man, and it's the time, and this is a key match, and he can really become Ryback. He's exactly where Ryback was when, he had that rematch with CM Punk, and, you knew he had to win it, or else he could go down that Ryback path and never recover. But instead, they give him the axe cop treatment. Braun Strowman, he hits like 3 finishers on frigging Brock Lesnar. Brock kicks out, and then Brock beats him a 1F5. So, what did WWE do tonight on Raw? Typical Raw booking. Typical WWE booking. This is why nobody gets over, Vic. This is what they do. Well, let's get him his win back. He lost last night. Let's make him strong again. So they have him kill Kurt Hawkins. Dean Ambrose comes down, who's faking an injury or working an injury. So, of course, Braun just can't beat him straight up. He has to be somewhat injured to begin with. And Braun beats Dean Ambrose. So what did you just do? You devalued everybody. You devalue Braun because he loses that key match. And then he basically fights an injured Dean Ambrose, who you devalue. No one got over.
Yeah. I had me scratching my head a lot. And I think that's sort of a big problem. And I get, you have some injuries, you have some issues, but I mean, for the most part, they'd be better served. Look at SmackDown side of things. Who has been the biggest superstar in NXT for the last year?
Who's been
Bobby Roode. Bobby Roode.
Definitely.
Who's he feuding with right now? He's not feuding for a championship. He's not feuding for a championship, not alone the championship. He's not feuding for anything. Like, he's going to end up facing like Mojo Riley
and TJ
Perkins.
Yeah.
I mean, he's literally
Big Dick. Are you glorious, Big Dick?
He was obviously left speechless.
Wow.
Sorry, you know what? I was so glorious. I hit mute. He was glorious. The best entrance outside of Shinsuke Nakamura in WWE today.
Well, you know why? You don't think Rob Conway had the greatest entrance of all time?
You know what? Actually, I think Dolph Ziggler's new entrance is pretty money.
It's so stupid, man. No, I'm just saying, literally, man. Braun Strowman really gets me down, man. He had a big opportunity. I love that Brock won because Brock's awesome, but Brock didn't need to beat Braun Strowman. In fact, you could have even had Brock beat him back for the title, which I know is 50-50 booking, but I just feel like Braun's now really in Ryback territory because not only has Braun lost that decisive match, he did with Roman Reigns as well, and it's kind of like he just kind of lost all his steam, you know?
Yeah, definitely not helping the cause at all.
They had a chance to make a superstar, dude. They really did. You know?
Yeah.
But
you know what? I mean,
they don't think he's ready.
You know what else I hate? Did you watch? I didn't watch the pay-per-view, unfortunately. I still need to get around to watching. I've been busy. Haven't had a chance to. Were we supposed to know that was Cena's last match? Because apparently it sure still seemed like it was.
There were rumors that was his last match, and I think he's just going away to do movies for a while. But I mean, he's not retiring or anything like that. But it definitely looks like he's taking an extended period of time off. That was a really good match, man. I think the crowd sucked. They were just like shitting on both guys. I don't know. The wrestling crowds are terrible, man. They really take a lot away from these matches. That was a big match, and they were just so silly.
You know what else I don't like at all? And again, I'm not positive. You probably watched it in real time, so you can tell me a little bit more about it. But with the championship match, I was just reading a review about it online, and they said, it came on like 10 minutes to the top of the hour. Apparently the match only lasted 9 minutes.
Yeah,
like, that's the worst thing about it. It's like, I feel like they're like literally letting, like, they choreograph everything, have stuff going up perfectly, and then the match runs long. They're like, okay, you know what, we're just going to take away from a minute. Like, I almost feel like one of those Lesnar, Goldberg matches ended, like it started at like 10:55 and ended 3 minutes later or 2 minutes later.
I like the way they booked the Lesnar matches, man. I mean, they do the huge promo, they have the huge entrances, and it's going to be hard hitting. And I mean, honestly, every move is a freaking big impact move. I don't think this match was even close to as good as like the WrestleMania Goldberg Lesnar match. But I mean, that was just like finishers, bro. I mean, it was like literally these guys hit each other with their finishers back and forth. This match was a little bit different. There was a little bit of a feeling out. It wasn't a great match by any means, but it's not supposed to be because it's a drawing match and, it's like what's going to happen. So it didn't really matter the content as much as it did the result. You just were into it because you realized the magnitude of the match, and honestly, I think a lot of people thought Braun Strowman was going to win. So I think people were waiting for that. And then when Brock finished him off, I think people were really surprised, especially the way he did.
Oh yeah, yeah, and that's the thing. I almost feel like it devalues the entire length of the match. Or I'm sorry, it devalues not the length of the match. It devalues the credibility. No.
I think that's Lesnar's gimmick, that he's like the Mike Tyson of wrestling. I mean, it's going to be a quick match, one way or the other. I think that's cool. I think it's different, and that's what makes his matches so must watch, So to me, I thought it delivered. I like Bliss getting away with the title. That was cool.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I definitely don't mind her. She's interesting. She's fun to look at.
That match, the 5-way, was such a cluster F. Oh my lord. It was a complete cluster. And who wouldn't have expected that? But, I really liked Mickie James finally getting the spotlight on her. It looks like she'll be the next feud. I don't think Mickey's gonna beat, Bliss, but I do like them feuding. I do like the possibilities. So I think this is kind of a cool feud, and especially because they touched on it tonight. Bliss is the one that brought Mickie James back to the WWE, so there's more to that backstory that we may find out here. Big
Yep.
Dick was the Big Dick tugboat taking you to Dreamland there? I thought I could have sworn I heard something there.
No, man. No big dick tugboat.
I
What
did
did you
like
think? How did you feel? Tell me about the pay-per-view a little bit. You watched it.
Yeah.
I've not seen it. I sort of read a couple of reviews on it. What was your favorite match?
It depends on what you mean. What was the best match, or what was I anticipating most, and what did I care about the most?
What was the best match?
The best match was definitely Cena versus Reigns. But the most important match, and what I really wanted to see, and I guess, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of talking out of both sides of my mouth with Strowman, because I'm kind of saying he should have won, but I'm happy Lesnar won. I mean, I kind of popped huge that Lesnar won, but then I sat there and thought about it, and I was kind of like, this kind of stinks, because we don't know how much longer Lesnar's going to be around, and, we had a chance to essentially maybe build a new superstar tonight. So I was a little disappointed about that, but that match was more important. But the best match of the night was definitely Cena versus Reigns, without a doubt.
Yeah, that's what I heard. That's sort of what I figured.
The marks will probably say Finn Balor was the best match, but the tag team match was good with Reigns and Ambrose and those guys. That was a good match, but with Cesaro and Sheamus, but that was a very, very good match. But I mean, I don't know. I thought the Miz Jason Jordan match was terrible. Jason Jordan's horrible, man. He's good in that tag team. I think he's good at doing a lot of impact moves, and he's got good stamina, but when he has to carry a match by himself, he's weak, man. He's really gotten exposed. He's not good on the mic. The guy just isn't ready.
Who's this?
At Gable. Jason Jordan. I mean, I thought I don't know, against Miz, I just don't think Jason Jordan's very good. Jason Angle. I can hear that big dick tugboat going to Dreamland.
The engines are warming up.
Do you hear it?
Wow.
Do you hear the big dick tugboat getting ready?
You can hear that soft, warm purr.
I want Kelly Kent to be the conductor.
With Axe Cop. So tell us about Raw tonight. What were some highlights for you, Big Dick? Was it the Nia Jax versus Sasha Bailey match?
No, it was not. I think it's going to be cool to see Asuka come in, because I think they could sort of, if they build her up and actually let her do her promo every once in a while, or let her come to the ring in full makeup and whatever, and debut, like, with a 5-minute intro, I think she'll be a lot better.
She's never going to lose, dude. She's going to kill everyone. I mean, maybe Charlotte will eventually beat her, but there is no one on Raw going to be. I mean, she's going to run through all those girls, and it's going to be like Goldberg, man. She's going to kill Bliss. She is going to kill Bliss. But by the way, looking at Bailey and Sasha Banks tonight, who beat Nia and Emma, when they were celebrating, it just occurred to me they look like friggin' cartoon characters. Like, Bailey's got all these crazy colors on, and literally Sasha Banks has like the most brightest purple hair you've ever seen.
Yeah. I don't know. Women's division, to be honest with you, I miss Charlotte.
Why does Sasha Banks have purple hair?
I have no idea. She's got red hair, I thought.
No, it's purple now, and it looks terrible.
Yeah, no, it looks like dog shit.
It's like brightest purple you've ever seen. Like, why does she have purple hair?
I don't know. Ask her. Ask Emma to ask her.
I mean, honestly, she looks like a cheap knockoff Eva Marie. She's purple instead of red. She's like the purple Eva Marie. Oh well, but what else did you see tonight that you were interested in?
It's interesting to see Matt Hardy teaming up without Jeff, because I don't think Jeff's going to be out for the full 6 months with his shoulder injury.
I didn't like them tagging off Hardy and Jordan. I agree.
I mean, I have no negative objections to them. I mean, they want to give me tickets somewhere and buy me drinks, then by all means, go for it.
What about the big dick tugboat?
Not heading to the mound.
Oh, I didn't know. Well, the Miz Taraj looks like they're going to be fighting the Shield Why would anyone think that those guys are a threat to the Shield? Why? We're losing them.
Why?
Kill Axe Cop. This may be one of the shortest Raw reactions ever. Right here.
Yeah, I'm struggling. I might need to catch the back of my eyelids pretty soon.
You do realize there could be somebody actually downloading and listening to this, and they don't appreciate your lack of effort, you jabroni.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I feel like I've been slacking. I didn't get to watch the pay-per-view, and I watched like half of Raw.
Well, I saw everything, and I stayed up and watched this by God awful Raw, just so that I could talk to the great folks. I'm ready to go monologue if I have to, if the big dick tugboat can't stay appropriately awake. You know,
absolutely, brother, go for it, and I will comment as I feel needed.
You know, we are about to get bombed by North Korea, bro. California is not going to be here. Enjoy your Raw reaction while you can.
All our friends in California.
I'm telling you, man. This could be one of the worst. This could be one of the last Raw reactions where all the 50 states are accounted for, and you know, in one piece.
Yeah, no doubt about it, brother.
Axe Cop will stop all this, though.
Dude, I'd love to see Axe Cop in action. Well, actually, it would have been funny to have Kev get pulled over on the way home and have them be like, "Why the fuck do you have a police uniform and axe in your car?"
Kev, what would you like? Cause is that possible? You could have been pulled over while wearing a police costume.
Maybe.
Like, wouldn't you have been embarrassed if that happened?
I don't know. I was a little bit more worried that I'd pull over to the gas station to get some gas, and I was worried, like, you know, oh shit, what if this place gets robbed?
Or what if people that don't like cops assault you?
Yeah, I mean, that might have been a bad time.
It might have also been awesome. So you never know. That could have been awesome.
It could have been a disaster. Gee, thanks, I appreciate that. Killer Kev could be dead right now or sitting in a jail.
Kev, man, you know if any of that should happen to you, me and Angry Tensai, we would go in a protest march.
We get you. We get you 100%. I'm trying to think of what else happened tonight. I think we actually covered most of the matches. What else happened?
It wasn't a great. Jason Jordan teamed up with Matt Hardy. I don't know. I almost feel like they're trying to force the Miz Taraj versus the Shield on us.
Who wants to see?
And the Miz Taraj has like 0 credit to their names, so I don't know how they deserve to stand in the same ring.
They need to have Bayley turn heel and be slutty.
I wouldn't mind that. Her and Emma could just turn into little hoochie mamas.
Yeah, I think a piggish Bayley would be the coolest thing.
A what?
I don't know, just like a provocative Bayley would be the coolest thing.
Well, did you see the new sex tapes that came out?
The new what?
The new sex tapes? Nia Jax sex tape leaked.
Come on, shut up. You're a liar. I don't believe it.
It'd be funny if it was true, though.
A Nia Jax sex tape. With again, Brad Maddox.
I would die. I'd piss my pants if it was Maddox and Xavier Woods taking turns with her.
Yeah, it might happen. They're a great tag team. I'm trying to think.
It could, man. It could.
Yeah, I don't know.
College football, bro. Kev, man, you must be ready to freaking quit UK. That was horrible. And Kev knows it.
I didn't actually get to see the game. It was a little bit of a heartbreaker, but UK did better than I think a lot of people expected. What's
going on these days on the SmackDown or not that Thursday Night AMP? Like, what do they talk about now? Are they all talking about New Japan Wrestling? Is that like all they talk about?
We talk about New Japan Wrestling. We talk about the weekend news. If there's something that's not shitty in WWE, they'll talk about that.
Why do they talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling?
Because it's literally the only good wrestling left.
Yeah, but no one in the world sees it. So it's really not that good.
Yeah, they do. There's a whole website, New Japan World. Go check it out.
I think WWE draws more people.
They might draw slightly more people.
Come on, bro. WWE's where it's at, man. Let me tell you something. If Undertaker walked into a New Japan Pro Wrestling arena, they would all one by one line up and kiss his ass. Let me tell you.
I mean, they'd definitely be excited. They'd appreciate him for sure. You know, New Japan fans, they don't hate WWE.
If Alexa Bliss walked into their arena, they would all kiss her ass one by one.
Well, probably, but that's WWE coming into their world. They're not, you know, if WWE comes to Japan, yeah, they'll go show up for that. But, you know, if it was WWE versus New Japan every week, I don't think WWE would draw.
What are you talking about, dude?
If you had WWE running in Japan every week, they would definitely be the second banana to New Japan.
WWE would need competition. Let me tell you what would naturally happen if they were on at the same time in the same place. Things would change. WWE would just get better. And that's the problem with no competition. Because here's what they would do. They'd have to put better programming on TV to maintain viability. And let me tell you something. I can tell you simply, if your best guys are the reject guy that Samoa Joe literally raped on TV, Okada, who was Samoa Joe literally kidnapped and raped, and Kenny Omega, if they're your best guys, they're like literally, you know, 5'5", whatever. Neither of them can speak English, and Omega's, an American. Brock Lesnar simply just needs to be on TV and have matches. That will draw better than anything they can put out there. Period. I know it. Everybody knows it.
Not in Japan.
Brock Lesnar was a UFC world champion. He can draw anywhere more than those guys. Period.
Brock Lesnar probably doesn't draw much respect in Japan at all.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about, bro? He draws more than he's literally the most famous wrestler around right now. There's nobody even close.
I mean, yeah, he's one of the most famous, but you're trying to draw on his MMA credibility, and he doesn't have MMA credibility in Japan.
What do you mean?
You know, he's a beast of a wrestler, yes. But do you really think that Brock Lesnar is going to outdraw anybody in New Japan in Japan? No.
Yes.
No. The only way that works is if Brock Lesnar is a New Japan star.
Dude, he transcends all that.
He couldn't do it all by himself. He couldn't do it on his own. And he can't do it with WWE in Japan.
John Cena, bro.
Same thing. There is nobody in WWE who would be able to draw more than any New Japan star on their own.
If they had those guys, they'd be the top guys. Period. That's fact. I guess we could agree to disagree.
Yeah, we'll have to. But that's okay. Right now I'm not watching WWE and I'm not watching New Japan either, so.
It's just disappointing how little respect WWE gets. And I think the fans that are left have really, really ruined WWE. And that's why we have the stuff we have on TV. I think it's disappointing.
Well, I mean, I will say this though. You know, whatever it is that WWE is putting out on TV, obviously Vince McMahon knows that is more than good enough to make the money WWE needs.
And I'm not just saying this, Vince needs to bite the bullet and bring Russo back. That's what he needs to do.
Never gonna happen. Russo is never gonna kiss his ass.
Why does he have to do that?
He doesn't have to do that. Russo is just too proud. He would never come back to WWE.
If he was asked to come back to WWE, he would.
I don't think he would. I think that he thinks he's better than Vince McMahon. His ego would not allow him to be second to Vince McMahon in WWE. The only way Vince Russo can be viewed as number one is outside of WWE and in his own head and on his own podcast and on his own website.
Vince Russo, I can tell you listening to his podcast, and he's really creative, man. He's got some good ideas. He's funny, but he does some shit that's really out there. He needs somebody to kind of rein him in, and that's what makes him good, is when he, and I think that's what the WWE does. So, Triple H clearly has relationships with talent across the world. If they could work together, I think they could do some great things.
They could, and you're absolutely spot on. Vince Russo has so many ideas. They run from great to straight garbage to just bizarre. You need somebody who can weed that out. And Vince McMahon, and Vince McMahon was great for that. And that's what made the relationship between Vince Russo and Vince McMahon, epic for its time. But Vince McMahon Vince Russo, would just never allow himself to be in that kind of situation again. He enjoys having the freedom too much. He is too ego-driven in that sense, and he really doesn't care about the making money part. He doesn't care about building the best product possible. It's all about him. It's
sad. Absolutely sad. I just think WWE has so much potential. I think they have a good roster. The writing is so bad, and I think that's the problem. I really don't think it's talent. I think it's what they're writing for them.
Yeah, you're right. It's not the talent. It's not the talent. It's not the ability. It is not the potential. Every week it squarely falls on the writers.
The writing's bad. I mean, when Braun Strowman or Brock Lesnar is in your main feud and they're not on TV for an entire week when they're available, that's just bad. I don't understand that at all. But that's kind of where it is, and that was kind of the show as a whole, and it looks like Brock Lesnar's next opponent is TBD, because Bray Wyatt is tied up with Finn Balor, and it looks like Reigns is going to be tied up with Miz, so I'm not sure who the next opponent will be, or he'll even be on the card. So that's kind of what's going on there, and that was the show as a whole. So I guess Big Dick doesn't have much to say tonight. So, we'll be here next week. We'll take another look at Raw. Hopefully it'll be a little bit better, but I encourage you to watch the pay-per-view. There were two great main matches. Raw tonight was carried by the Cruiserweights. Kind of crazy saying that, but they did do a good job, and that was the show as a whole. Anything you want to plug before we get out of here, Kev?
Nope, I think we plugged everything. I will do a little bit extra plug. At Cincinnati Comic Expo this weekend, I had a chance to sit down and actually do another podcast.
Really?
Yeah, you don't get to see me or hear me on very many other podcasts. I pretty much kind of keep myself exclusive to Angry Marks Podcast Network. But at Cincinnati Comic Con this past weekend, you had a booth that was staffed by the folks over at the History of Bad Ideas. It's actually a podcast I've heard from several friends of mine. So I got to sit down with them and we did a little bit of trivia. They do all kinds of trivia. I was with a friend. She, went and did Harry Potter, trivia with them, and she absolutely killed them 5 of 5. I went on, of course, I picked professional wrestling, and we did 80s WWE trivia. I'm not going to reveal how it went, because you'll have to tune in to a future episode, to find out how that went. But we are going to get together with the guys from the History of Bad Ideas. We're going to do a Thursday night AMP podcast with them sometime here in the near future. And if you want to find out more about it, you can go to their website, historyofbadibsyn.libsyn.com. You can find them on Facebook at facebook.com/Bad Ideas Podcast, on Twitter at Bad Ideas Podcast. Check out their show. I've listened to a couple episodes. Highly entertaining. Those guys definitely know what they're talking about. They don't cover just pro wrestling. They cover a lot of pop culture and very curious and interesting things. So I had a great time sitting down with them and doing their trivia, and maybe we'll do it again in the future.